Welcome. I am Crimey Queen. If you are joining us for the first time, it's the channel where we have fun with words and numbers, numerology to be precise. This is where we actualize self-love with the use of scriptural texts and of course our life experiences, which is really key. And of course this is how we make our references. The RE, when I say references, is really how we relate to those points. Okay, let's say points. I didn't want to say references again. All right, so I have been doing a few presentations on black-white equation of entrapment. Now, as I keep saying that it's not a subject that I ever dreamed that I would be touching. It's not a subject that I ever thought that I would speak even publicly about. But I'm considering this public even if I'm in my own space, but it's going to every four corners of the earth, so to speak. So I am acknowledging the vastness of that impact, which I hope it is in actual fact. That it does get to be realized for what is for the intention that I am doing this. So I have done over 500, near enough 500 or 5,500 videos, and so it meant that I have been having fun doing those videos, and I have enough other subjects that I could be talking about. But however, I did have a realization very early on through numerology because of my love and passion. And then I realized through having fun, it turned out that it was not much fun anymore when I realized that in my teaching, there have been this, in fact, it came about from a bottle of Bailey's Irish cream someone had bought me as well. And all of a sudden, I looked on the logo and I realized it was something like this. Well, it was two B's, but it was, and then it really got me thinking. Of course, it was very artistically done, and enough to intoxicate your sight even without tasting the Baileys itself. And so I realized through the exercises I was doing that the letter B is it consists of the number 13. And of course I had done numerous things and realized that the number of agreement, it really starts with 2. Now 2 could really mean that two people or more than 2 people, but we see that the 13 so happened to be that it's the number of disciples, and including Christ, who had this agreement, of course, that they would have the communion, which means every time the disciples would eat or break of bread and eat break of bread, they had to break it. It seemed like the breaking was like breaking out of having a demarcation of whether they were breaking the agreement and reaffirming it, and then they would have the wine, which would mean that they are drinking symbolically of the blood of Christ. So this is a story that have permeated the Western world, and in that, of course, is what gets us to go to church, because we are then needing the blood to be covered. And then we wonder to some extent about how people are using the same method to capitalize on others having what they call blood and wine. Of course, they want to drink the blood direct now. Now, this is also understandable in the sense that bread has not only been seen as bread, the dough that we eat. Of course, we learn that when you go to work, you're going to earn your bread. Of course, which covers the Lord's Prayer as well. Give us our daily bread, meaning give us all our needs. So we can see that the wine, of course, is that which is intoxicating, and for blood, it's like it goes about by the sweat of thy, well, the blood. There is something else about the blood, but we can see how the seed has become a huge tree that has bore seeds after its kind in context. Now, my concern here is I began to do this black white entrapment with the view that I was going to just give out the solution, what I see as a solution, or render some kind of something for individuals to work with, which is still possible. But now I am seeing, and while I was getting ready on the presentation to do this, and having the introduction, that I added the yellow. And this is the thing when you call things into being, because I called the yellow. Yellow is that neutral. It's like the referee that says, okay, now you have given that one enough blows, now stop. So yellow becomes like the sun that rises up in the morning, and of course it goes to bed at night, or it sets in the west. So yellow is that to me. Now yellow in this sense as well coincides, because it coincides directly with the word white. So of course, it means like it is leaning more to white in this sense, but it also is in relation to black, because of course, as I say, it sets in the sun, in the west, sorry. So of course then it would go lean to the black. They all have the same numerical value of 11, master numbers. Now we have all heard about how master numbers are used, and in the occults or whatever it is that people do, how they do what they do. But I can see right here the how it is done. This is what I am saying, that we need to be informed, and then we can make the choices, informed choices, so that we do not have people manipulating our behaviors by sticking foods in our mouths, or taking away, like it is said, like for instance in Africa, which is a very rich country, it's as if there was an exchange of resources for the Bible. But I'm not sure that whether we have made it our business to really fully understand the Bible and how it was intended to be used. Not just that a missionary would go to parts of Africa or the Caribbean every now and then and teach you the same rhymes and my sheep know my voice and that sort of thing, which gets us still following where the Bible had come from, and to be oppressed by the very same thing that was meant to free us. So in my experience in looking at the Bible, the scriptures now, I can see, in fact, it has become my favorite book. And so I'm not putting it down at all in that sense of literally or inadvertently, because I do appreciate the intelligence and the minds that really construct that wisdom. And I believe that wisdom is a very strong derivative of Mother Eve herself. And I say herself, the serpent, because now I am using the same scriptural knowledge that Eve had been a female, and of course she was the one who had that interaction with the serpent. Now, in the mere fact that she was the one who was able to have that interaction with the serpent, meaning she met with the serpent on a point where they were equal. Whenever you are interacting with someone or something, you are being their equal in that moment and time and space. But instead of realizing the wisdom or courage or whatever it was that she had exhibit to be able to have that conversation with the serpent, like we were told. No, we saw that she had done something very terrible, and for that reason, the rest of humanity would suffer, would have to suffer, particularly female, would have to feel guilty, not about, of course, so they could have sex and feel guilty about it. So they in that dichotomy of pleasure and pain, because if they get pregnant, then they know that they have to suffer for giving the childbirth, and the list goes on. Instead of seeing that in that very act that we had been given everything. This is where in Genesis of chapter 1, and every time that the God who bless, because there is the God of the 9 gods in Genesis of chapter 1, and I'm sure that anyone can come to me now and I will point out those 9 gods which were done very cleverly in the scriptures, because of course your food when you're very hungry, or someone gave you something, and when you were without, they would seem like a god. So we are talking about, in fact, I've got, oh, I think I had a list here. So if someone is able, and we have that in our society today, so you become very good at like Oprah Winfrey. She is the god of speech, or god of language. She can reach into the hearts of, she's the goddess. She can reach into the hearts of nations and people. So she is a goddess in her own right. And so we see the saw. So the person who saw, or who is the overseer, we could say that in a sense, or maker in that sense. But sovereign is that 7 who's able to show, because again we need to know that the S's are very symbolic signature, or pivots your attention right away to the fact that it's that derivative of Mother Eve, with the S word. Okay, so the word saw is was back to front. So this is where we see the play had been happening. Divided, which has 2 eyes in it, would again show that there was a God who played in this part of our eye, one being here and there, and there's a bridge between them, and there was division. Just for example, the one who formed, so there was the sketch, okay, there would be the head and 2 arms going this way and that way. There was a form. So that's the formed God. And there was the maid, the one who would probably be mixing the dough of the dust and whatever else we were made of. That's the maid God. And then there was one that was set. It's like saying, okay, we want to make sure everything is right. We will stick these people, or whatever we call them, we're going to stick them. It's like in a baking tray. We become that cake that goes in the tin can or tin pan, and then it is baked. But only in this case, in the creation, it is done as the figure of number 8. I believe so, that it's there. But in fact, I said it is the pan because what I have realized as well is that it really is the shape of a pan, because the 9 gods I have discovered have left their signature in our overt parts of our bodies. So the 9 gods have formed 9 circles on our bodies. That's the 9 gods. So basically, I think there were times they would have been working in 2s. So I'm not so sure yet. I have to review this. So the god of division, of course, was working perhaps with 2 gods of the 2 eyes. Or then we have the 2 A's. So this probably comes like twins. Maybe that's where twins will form, and the nostrils. So we have those circles here. We have 7 circles to the head and 2 down below, so to speak. Then, of course, we have the God who ended. And ended, of course, has a strong demarcation, we could say, of Mother Eve's signature, where it contains 3 5s, which is 15, and of course that is the same correlation number with the said God, the said. So when we do the word, because Mother Eve is the said God, when we do the word said, it equals 15. So we can see that, because end is also 15. And ended, of course, equals the same 1 6, meaning 1 6, because then that is 9 at the end of ended, end. And the God who breathed, of course, that's the God who gave life and breathed in the soul, in man's soul. Now the word soul equals 13, and that's the 13 that I have been talking about. So I can go into that. So the soul, we can see right there that the soul forms, it's like the holes. So that came into the 13. Now we are talking about, I've mentioned 14 gods, but now I am saying 13 like I have showed. Now, I have also discovered how the 14 comes into play, because as I said, there are 9 gods in Genesis of chapter 1 and 5 in 2. So that is 14. That correlates with the story of Osiris, who was chopped, the god of whatever he was, but he was a god, and he was chopped in 14 pieces, and one piece could not be found. The one that could not be found would really represent Christ. After being crucified, we could say, of course, that they had gone and dug the grave and could not find him. I think there was such a thing in the story. They thought, well, the stone has been moved, and so where is he? So then at that moment, he could not be accounted for until the time that he appeared to the disciples. I hope you know the story. So this there, Christ is becoming the 14th God, which also coincides. Now we are looking at for 9. Well, it would be for 9. This is slightly different in the, well, it's not different. The 9 planets coincides with the 9 planets, including Pluto, who had been rejected, and now we have to find a way to accept Pluto. So, and then the other 5 is the 5 senses that we have, that has been the bedrock, we could say, like the black. The 5 senses have been like the black in this sense. Okay, it's the foundation. Now all of those things are very foundational in their sense, meaning black is foundation. Now white too is foundation, and do excuse me that I did not make that point as well in other references, but I have also seen it in the sense that black as the predominant color that every other color derives from. So then that in itself qualifies it as the foundation of everything and every color and every function. So this is why the resources, it's like a quarry. I don't know if you know the word quarry, where the clay is dug out for building and road structuring and so on. And it's like you take and you take and you take. But there's a time where it needs to reform itself, or re-energize, or replenish, or readdress, whatever the RE, which is beginning and end. RE, that's what it means. We say regarding, but it's regarding. When you say regarding, you are looking at the one end to another. Okay, so the other God is the created God. The created God is the God who done he created man. He didn't create man when the Lord said, meaning when we say the Lord, because the Lord is really the one who sets, who lets. Lord is someone who, in fact, because all the lords that I know are male hair, but it does not, when you check the meaning of Lord, it does not go into that it does not go into that definition at all, but it is someone who does the business, who lets the business, who other people have to pay or are accountable to on business sense, something to that effect. So it'd be interesting for us to look at those meanings of those words. So the created God is really the God of reaction. He reacted, basically, and we can understand that when one reacts, because this is why we are told it's best to act instead of being reacting, because you are reacting according to something that has been passed down or something to that effect, of course, and everything meets each other on its own par. This is where I like to quote Emmett Fox, and he says nothing comes into your consciousness unless it finds something like itself on which to attach itself to. Now I like this very much. This is like really the bedrock of everything we are saying, cause and effect. Okay. And we have the God of planting, and we have the God of blessing. Of course, bless, that's blessing, and because the letter B is just B, and it's not because it hasn't got an E behind it, because Mother Eve has said, I have not given you the spirit of fear, but I have given you the spirit of sound mind, meaning when you hear be less, it is be less. Something is taken away. And when that was done, Mother Eve interjected into the same text that the blessing had been, and says, behold, I have given you all fruit bearing tree. It's like, of course, because she has let this business to whoever it is, but she's reminding her children, I know I have given these people to oversee your activities, but remember what I have given you. I have given you all fruit bearing trees. After, it's as if they were babysitting, for instance. It's like you are rich and you have your child, and you want a babysitter, but you get someone, and of course you have everything in your home for your child. Your child opens the fridge, but the babysitter takes it, whatever item you take from the fridge, and says you can't have that. Whereas your mother or your parents had left and said, look, feel free, this is your home. Your mom don't have to tell you it's your home. It's your home. But the babysitter, of course, may not be feeling as rich as you are, enters your home, and because, of course, your parents need their service, because they are so busy, they have so many things doing, and every so often they too need some time away from you. In that sense, when we say from, not necessarily absent of mind. And then the babysitter says, no, you can't have that. And what do? They scoff it down their throat. Perhaps that's what happens. I'm just saying, making a point. Okay. And so this is what happens with the be less that is going on. Excuse me, let me just do this 1 minute. Yeah. So so that's what happens here. And so I can substantiate this on the same scriptures that have been used to really entrap minds and beliefs and traditions and practices. And that is, now I am saying, it's not just an issue of black, it is an issue of, I don't know why I was going to say class, but again, this is of course, this is what has happened. We have been structured in different class, but it is an issue. So even if we say class, all of us are in this universal class. We could put it this way. We are in this together. So what I have discovered now, I was doing this thing on the artificial intelligence. Now I may be sounding a little rushed, because these the things that I want to say is that it's so concentrated, and I want to also deliver effectively, but also not because my timer is limited on my phone. So hence why I may sound a little bit rushed in that sense. Well, there are other reasons as well, because of the amount of information. So we see artificial intelligence with 3 eyes. Now, there's the thing. It is so well thought of. These words, for instance, have not been structured by chance. They have been orchestrated now in a certain way that helps us find truth if we are seeking for it, because it is the other side of the coin. It gives us the opportunity to see things from both sides. So there we are with 3 eyes, and of course, don't we have 3 eyes? So by looking at this, we are already saying, why say, sorry, I jump into artificial intelligence here because I had gone into the presentation that I did before. Why I did artificial intelligence is that I was talking about, this is how I came onto it. So let's backtrack. I looked at the word black, and I thought I was going to use the word, the letter in the middle of the letter of the word, which is A. And I'm comforted with this. So it is A. Now we all know how the A have been used on the dollar, the American dollar, and it's got an I. So we know about that. Now yes, it just seemed like I'm following Mother Eve's now, because Mother Eve has been saying to us, we need to go back in numbers. In counting, we need to go back. So I'm just getting that I need to mention it right now. And perhaps that is why I have to go through that motion here. So let's start again. So black, white. The middle letter of white is I, which is here, and the middle letter of black is A. Now, we have been so programmed that I would not write white, black. I would write black, white for some reason. I don't know, but that's how we say black and white. We don't, for some reason, say white and black. I don't know. It doesn't ring right, although it's the same thing, but we say black and white. So I had written it that way. And then I discovered that while I was doing that, thinking, okay, that we could use the A, and because it's the pyramid, I have a list of words from the word pyramid that I did when I went to an office. Of course, I saw the A again, and I thought, why are so many people using A now as a logo? So, of course, and it looked like a pyramid. So I saw the word Ram, Ra, Am, the AM, meaning time, and it has the PM as well, which I didn't write on there, but we are talking about time. So it has Amid, it has Yam. That was very interesting, because Yam is African and Caribbean, of course, and isn't the pyramid in Africa. Okay, so we have Pram. Okay, we have Dim, Dram, Pray. I thought that was a very interesting word to have there as well, pray. And we have mid, as in medium, and yeah, we have I think there is myriad as well, because I'm just looking at the word myriad, okay. But we have yard for measurement. So we know that the big talk about the pyramid is about its measurement. We have dry. Now we do understand, of course, I can see how dry we can be in that sense. Okay, we have dry. We have aim. It's like showing you, telling you where to aim for. It has day, and I like that. It means that day equals 12, which is the 12 zodiac signs, and so on. It has paid. I think it is really saying to us that the price has been paid, which is what we learn about Christ. And of course, that means aid, A-I-D as well, meaning that you have the help. And we have May, which is my month, and of course it is the month of the 12 months that you can use in all languages as far as I understand on from Google. So you say, may I have this? Or perhaps I may, or we use that. So may is number 5. Now the other thing that really amazes me is how frequent we use the characteristics of Mother Eve, which equals 5, and we have not we have been taught to have a dislikeness and resentment towards Mother Eve. And do we wonder why we have so much trouble in understanding the divine feminine, or the female side of ourselves, which is water? So we are actually rejecting and being adverse to that which we really are, whereas with the man is 90%. So basically he doesn't get on with his mother. He is really rejecting that 90%. He's rejecting part of who he is. Now that's again the 9 gods being very active in that makeup, because the 9 gods are seeking for attention. Okay, and there we have on the other hand, we are talking about the female too. She's 100% water. If she doesn't get an understanding of who she really is, this is about self-hate. Now she is the womb. So when something comes into her womb, how receptive is she of that which is in the womb? How loving can she be to that which is in the womb? Because of course, whether internal or external, there is not a representation of love and acceptance. So we were talking about the 13. There is just so much, as you can see. I know I am going to need to structure these in ways, but back to this AI, just to show you how I got this. So when I, of course, because I'm looking at, we had yellow to be able to throw some light on the subject for us, because yellow now is like the referee. This is when you are yelling and he says, stay low. They're in the boxing match or in the boxing ring. It's like, or it's like your coach and he's saying, okay, you're yelling, but stay low till you regain your strength, of course. So you stay low till the sun rises again. So back, of course, now the L here is that which is the first letter. The first letter, whether we see it as a letter that was written, but the first contract or the first whatever it is Mother Eve had spoken in her deeds, because she has the title deeds for everything and everyone. So it is L. So it is 3. So this is where I got my comfort to see that the L is really a construct. Oh, actually, it's, oh, all right, I get it. So it represents 3. Now, why L has 3 as well? There is another thing about L and 7. So I'll just do this here, just to show the whole. When we say we see a square, we don't quite understand it. But this is just to show you how the L and the 7, because it's just the 2 halves of that which we are upside down. And that is why we need to be able to get whole. This is, I always say, you can make me whole again. So basically, this is the wholeness we are seeking. So 3 as the L is in that is direct correspondence with the 3 strokes we have here of the letter A. Now to represent Mother Eve with 5 as well, we can say it has 5 parts, because there's 1 part here, 1 part here, 1 part here, and these 2 here and the middle. So we still have Mother Eve very present in the middle of the heart. She is key. So this is what I mean about when we take the time to see and understand, not just that I am making a complaint, I am also looking at both sides of the coin to see how we can use the resources we have to make life better for us all round. So this is 5 here, and 5, when we do the numerical value for key, for instance, K-A-Y. This is 257. So this is 12, 13, 14. So I have been going on about the number 14. 14 is key. I'm going to just do a numerical value on that and say 14 is key, because our presentation, I mean, all right, because we say God is 13, but 14 is key, because that's the key that unlocks the hearts of the other gods. Just like Christ now is been sent to unlock the hearts of the other gods. That's what has happened. Okay. Now, so this is just to show you the derivative of this that I am talking about. So then I saw artificial intelligence. Know that I have come across Sophia, like you may have as well. And then I realized, wow, these people who created Sophia have gone not now into the air only, they have left the air, like the air plugs that we use on our phones, because the word heart, H-E-A-R-T, let's just get a H-E-A-R-T, which has art in it. So they have not left it altogether, but they targeted the air. And we have, as I counted, not just this air, we have the air in our heart, we have it in the earth, E-A-R-T-H. So we have the air, which together forms a number 8 as well, which is a God. So when you get there, you are God. They have made God out of the phones that we have, and we have those two. And of course, with the T's, we could say the plugs that you plug. And the H is like, I always see H as a ladder. Now the H now it works similar to the A, in that it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 strokes when we do it in the capital letters. So it has 5 strokes, just like it will 5. Now what I felt was so cunningly done is to now have AI, meaning they have taken the A, and we can see why, because 9, which of course is another argument that we have had, that 9 on in numerology equals 9, and A in numerology as well equals 1. So we are talking about number 19. Now this is the sacrifice template that I have, that I'm talking about. Now I'm just wishing I could see the time on this so I could have an idea. Okay. It tells you I haven't got a watch or a clock otherwise. Oh, I probably could see it on okay. So it's the timer. Okay, so there we see that we have the A of the heart, which is tapping directly into the heart, and we have 19. So let me just show you where the 19 is on here. So we have 1 to 9, and 1 of course is where we do our jazz, and the 9 here is where I call it the inland revenue. Now, isn't it the inland revenue? Revenue tells you that everyone is accountable to that section. This is what I mean about it being in the white bracket. So in the white, well, the white is not in a bracket. No, the white is not in a bracket. The white is is everywhere in this sense, because this is why Mother Eve said, let there be light, for her love not wanting us to trip over. She says, let there be light. It was Mother Eve who said, let there be light, just like it will with Moses. She says, take off your sandals because you are standing on holy ground. That holy was the 9 holes that we are talking about. But we could say, even metaphorically, On the ground, itself was perhaps some potholes there, and didn't want him to trip over because he was faced with the bush, the burning bush. The burning bush is that which already gives light, it gives life. It is that which opens the pineal gland, that activates the kundalini, that gives you all that is passion. It reveals itself to you. It takes you through the whole 19, number 19 on the scale, because for you to go through the fire, it's like going through the fire, and like you get the text, it's like you have to go through the fire. It said 7 times. Okay, so, but of course, then again, the 7 is the 7 holes that is on this part. This is what I mean about the scriptures. Once you get the thread of the essence of how it has been constructed, you can read into all the stories. So you have to go through the fire 7 times, which is the 7 chakras, but also there are 7 holes, because they have left those holes, the gods have left those holes, which is 5 on the face and the 2 airs. You have to master this. You are not dealing with the lower chakra anymore. You are healing from it, and so you have to master the art of what you see, what you hear, what you speak, and so on, and smell. You have to know. In actual fact, you have to get to a point that you know. Hence why the number for nose is 8, and the number for eye as well is 8. All right, so that's what I thought. Now the word AI, I mean, I went to uni in 1998 thereabout, and there was a lot going on about artificial intelligence. Now of course, these are the things sometimes in my state, although there was a lot of question, but I didn't have the courage or confidence to question things, even with all these modules or whatever they call on the iPads or your phones, with all they call it emotional icons. They were devising those things, and they were doing the test on us, and I was a participant in that as well. And they have a way of framing the question just to make you think that they are looking after your interests. Yes. Now, that's another thing as well, because the people who are funding those kind of studies, of course, to keep the universities going, well, that's another subject. Okay. So, so we see that there are 3 eyes in the word artificial. It also has the word art in it, like it were in the heart. So basically, man has a desire not to really deal much with. Of course, I do enjoy the technologies as well, because I'm very happy to be able to be in London and think, okay, in the next week I can be in St. Lucia. There is a lot of those things I can appreciate, that I can pick up a phone and speak to my loved ones abroad. And I am not saying no to that, but it's how we use those artificial intelligences, and really how safe a world that we are creating. Now, just like the gods, or the 14 gods of the Bible, may I also say, those 14 gods of the Bible, we are not the first race to have been on earth, or from that story we get of Adam and Eve. That was the aftermath of some disaster, or perhaps it was another thing like we are experiencing today. And I am really believing that it has a lot of correlation with what we are experiencing today, because it had a seed, and the seed is bearing after its kind. However, with the gods that we have in our heads, this is where we know, and that is what I have discovered, how we come to have the chatter in our minds, is all the gods in our heads. So basically, like I said, it's like building a home, having a clear image of what it is that you want to achieve. And if you had were building a home, then you know you would need a plumber, you would need an electrician, you'd need the plasterer, the roofer, you'd need those different gods to be able to build you that wonderful house that is safe. And you don't really necessarily want someone who is not qualified enough to get you to have the end product of that which you have conceived. Because there we have the God of, like Mother Eve, who has the language and have passed that down to us. And there's another thing I'm going to do, something around language too, to see the gifts that are in the word language. And so this has been passed on to us so we can know how to use language, that someone is not going to come and tell you, oh, I know how to do that. And then you can ask them a few questions. Well, how long have you been practicing this? And how can you tell me or give me some references of where you have worked and the quality of whatever it is that you have done? So they are not giving you some bull story. Well, I won't be using the word bull anymore because I've done a numerical value on bull and I am a Taurus. I think that is another thing that we have learned, to see the bull as if it was just the other really not so valuable a term. And so now, this is the bull that Uranus is going to go into the house of the bull in May, that the May we are talking about, which is Taurus, the second house. And then we will know what the bull is going to kick up steam then. Okay. So, back to artificial intelligence. I may have to do another well, I will need to be revisiting this, but I wanted to look at the pyramid, and I'm still wanting to do this and have a list of the suggestions of conditions or practices we can have, like things like pray that we thought we couldn't pray, and it's got AM and PM. And in numerology, of course, you can learn at the times you pray have more impact than other times. So these are things we can learn, and even from the things that we